Welcome to the Eastgate Podcast. This is
Let's Talk About It
with Lawana, Schrieffer, and Nate Prepelka. We dive into tough questions, real-life challenges, and what it means to walk with Christ. In this episode, we talk about joy, peace, and love through the holidays. Hi, my name is Nate. I am the student pastor here at Eastgate.
Hi, it's Lawana. I am a part of the board, and I am a life coach.
All right, so it's the holiday season, and it's supposed to be a time of joy and happiness and family getting together and sharing. But that's not always the reality for some people.
That is true.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I wanted you to bring up, right now you're going through a, what is it?
It's called Peace Through the Holidays. It's a 4-day event that we meet right here at Eastgate, and we are going through this week on the 9th of December. We're going to be talking about navigating the holidays when life is challenging. Because just because it's December doesn't mean life is perfect. And so how do you navigate when everybody and everything, every song and every commercial and every movie and every book is telling you you should be happy and things should be great, and it's just not the case? So that's what we're working through.
Right. And you mentioned some examples. I don't remember, but things like, maybe there's someone who's struggling to pay bills.
Yeah.
Maybe someone has relative in the hospital during this time, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's life's in the holiday season. So we want to encourage people that if you're not having the most joyful time, that is okay. That if you're struggling or feeling challenged or feeling like your expectations cannot be met, that's okay too. Like, you're still allowed to have your whole real feelings, even though it's the magical time of the year.
Great. And then our hope is that maybe we could share some things that might help you or anybody get through this time.
Yeah, we want to really have a conversation. Nate and I have always wanted to make sure to have conversations that are affecting us and that we think can be helpful for the listener. So we want you to know that at Let's Talk About It, we understand that life is hard, and just because it's the season of Christmas doesn't mean that you feel that way. So we want you to feel safe and comfortable admitting, like, wherever you are, that's okay. If you don't feel okay, that's okay.
Right. So let's talk about life being hard.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about life being hard. I think one of the things that when I was going through a divorce, I separated in October. And so the first Christmas was just a few months away. And life was already feeling so overwhelming because it's a rendering, it's a tearing of your reality when you're going through such a big change. And now you're facing with, I have 4 kids, and the oldest was only 14. So 14, 12, and 9. And there's this Christmas. Do you pretend like everything's okay when nothing's the same? Do you try to keep all the same traditions? Do you acknowledge that things are different and Christmas is going to feel different because you guys aren't feeling like you normally do for Christmas, and resources are changed. You might not have as much money, and you can't think, and you're just overwhelmed. And that was the first time I really realized that our perspective of things, especially around December, is built in because there's such a high expectation that this is the most wonderful time of the year. Now, what do you do if your life is not feeling like the most wonderful time of the year? And I think the first thing you do is you accept the reality that you are actually in, and that takes off a lot of stress and pressure and anxiety to try to create something that is not honest.
Right. You're not trying to put on a mask that, like, I'm happy. You're taking it off and saying, I'm having a rough time. This sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you embrace the actual circumstances or the actual feelings that you have, it is more free than when you resist and you try to fake it till you make it. That is not really a healthy mental health way to look at things. You want to be honest with yourself, and that allows your kids and anybody else to be honest too. So no one is also carrying the hurt or the pain or the challenge and trying to pretend. Pretending is it costs, right? And it is heavy. So you get to be honest. So we did, what we did the first year is a friend called me and she said, you know what? Let's change your whole Christmas. Their dad's not going to be there. It's not going to be the same like it has always been. Let's change your circumstances. Let's just change everything. So she invited us to come spend the holidays with them in North Carolina. And so it was a whole change. So you're not missing certain things in your same environment. Your whole environment's changed and you're having a whole totally different experience because now you're with your friends, you're doing different things. You could be creating different traditions or even just different memories. And so it's not like it took the pain away, but it helped you focus on not what you don't have, what's not like it used to be, and you got to focus on something totally new. So that did kind of give you a little space, a little breathing room. I think my kids really enjoyed it. Not that they didn't miss their dad, but it wasn't like we're just sitting around a table with a big missing thing, like we were doing something else. So that was really helpful. It's just changing. It just helped change the perspective when we did something totally different. So one of the things that I was talking to Nate about was, how do you do joy, peace, and love when that's not how you're feeling? Like it just feels so far away sometimes. Through divorce, through financial stress, through loss, through somebody just told me they just lost their job. Like 2 weeks ago, like we're walking into the holidays where you're supposed to be having these big dinners and being able to give people gifts and all this stuff. And now you're facing a very big financial strain. Like, how do you do joy, peace, and love? And so I really wanted to talk about how one of the things that I've realized is that we have to change our perspective, which means just that we are looking at all these external things. We're getting all this input from movies and music and advertisers that this is what Christmas looks like. And we have to change that perspective, instead of being outside of ourselves, that we can find joy, peace, and love if we buy the right gifts, if we have the right food on the table, if we wear the right clothing. We have to realize that this is going to have to come through God's perspective. And our relationship with God is how we'll be able to maintain or manage joy, peace, and love, even in the midst of a challenging circumstances.
Right. I often find that the promise of Christmas and what this time brings that is sold is so fleeting.
Yeah.
Right. You may find a little bit of joy, a little bit of peace, a little bit of love and stuff, but nothing that latches on and lasts like if you find those things in God. Yeah.
It feels like I love how you said that. So they are fleeting. One of the thoughts I had was like, how do you have joy, peace, and love year round? It doesn't have to be formulated through a series of events in a certain month. Like it doesn't have to only come when it's cold and it snows and you get to put up a tree and twinkling lights and you get to buy gifts and have hot chocolate. How can we cultivate a sense of joy, peace, and love throughout our lives, throughout the year, so that it's not so much stress on it magically appearing in December? It's like, oh, this is the month we get to put it on like a coat, Like, what if we are figuring out how to put it on all year? Then there's not as much stress that this has to be a perfect month.
Right. So we had some verses here about joy, peace, and love that I thought were really good that you found. And can I go ahead and read them?
Yeah.
So we have for joy, Nehemiah 8:10. Go and celebrate with a feast of rich foods and sweet drinks, and share gifts of food with people who have nothing prepared. This is a sacred day before our Lord. Don't be dejected and sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.
Yeah, the reason I really like that is in Nehemiah, they have been exiled. The Israelites have been exiled. They have been taken over, and God is bringing them back to build the temple. And so they're in flux. Like, things are not like it used to be. They used to be, slaves in other foreign lands. And God tells them, and Nehemiah, it says, you can still celebrate. I think they're celebrating some kind of feast or something that they've been told before. You can celebrate that. You don't have to be sad or dejected because of what you've lost. The Lord is your strength. The joy of the Lord is your strength. So sometimes when we are thinking about joy, it's an external thing. And what I want us to kind of think about is, how can we find joy in the Lord? Even if our circumstances are challenging, is there a way that we can feel the joy of the Lord and be strengthened by that? Like, God is and loves us. Like, can we find a way to internalize God's thoughts towards us and find that joy and get that strength to make it through challenging times, especially when it's the most wonderful time of the year?
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think of maybe a specific situation in my own life, but I can't think of anything right off the bat. But I know for me that as I have grown closer to God, and I have, put more time into that relationship, and when I do have moments where things seem grim or stuff, I find it a lot easier to find the joy in those moments. Especially just like, when things are going not great, one of the first things I think of now would be to go to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, because, there's all kinds of things we can try to use to comfort us or to help us feel a little bit better. Food, spending money, I don't know, drinking, all kinds of things.
Right. Now that you say that, God's not one of the first things that I go to.
Nate's been honest today. Yeah. Nate's been honest.
Yeah. But more so than, in the past.
He's on the short list now, right?
Yeah,
He's on the short list. It doesn't take, yeah. So, I love that.
Okay, and then we have peace. And for peace, we have John 14:27. I am leaving with you a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. I like that part, that peace is a gift that I give that the world cannot give.
Yeah, I love that too. I think peace is definitely a gift. It kind of feels like, to me, when I think about peace, it means that I'm not worried. That's what I kind of think about. It's like, I'm not stressed, I'm not anxious, I'm not worried. I'm in like a satisfied contentment, and I'm not striving for something. I'm not trying to control things. So peace has really been a blessing to me when I have been such a hyper, like trying to know everything and trying to figure everything out and trying to have control. Peace is like, you don't have to have all the answers, and you can just trust in me, and I give it freely. Like, peace is like grace, God's so abundant in what he's willing to give us. And peace is like, I want you to have it. I don't want you to be worried. I don't want you to be trying to be in control. So I'm freely giving it to you, and I don't take it back. It's no take backs like the world does, right? It's not transactional. And that's what I love. Like, if I could just settle myself down and talk to the Lord for a little bit instead of like running around like a chicken with her head cut off, then I could be experiencing peace a lot more often.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like all the times in my life where I felt peace, and not just like where I'm not stressed out, like where I've actually felt peace. And I like all the times I can think of, like God was there whenever I felt like peace. Yeah,
like a presence, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we're in relationship right now.
Yeah.
I'm in this, I can feel him, I can sense his presence, and we're in communion. That's like when it's just not about worrying or whatever. Yeah, I love that too. I think I wanted to say, one of the things that steals our peace is the way we think about ourselves and about other people. If we're doing a lot of comparisons, if we're forgetting to be grateful, if we're forgetting what God's done for us in the past, like peace, I guess, like all things, come from our relationship and our trust in God. And when we can do that, isn't it Philippians that says that he will give us peace if we don't worry? Do not worry about the peace of God that surpasses understanding is in Philippians 4. And it's talking about how you're thinking. Do not worry. Don't be anxious, da-da-da-da. And then it says, pray with thanksgiving and petition and ask God. And then the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will be yours. And it's like peace has to come from a mind that is set on God and not on all the other things that it likes to focus on.
Right, absolutely. And then we have love, and we've got 2 verses for this one. Jeremiah 31:3, I have loved you, my people, with an everlasting love. With unfailing love, I have drawn you to myself. And then Psalm 118:29, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His faithful love endures forever.
Yeah, I talked about this on the podcast before about my journey with a relationship with God versus thinking my behavior was what drove him to do things for me. Like if I was good, then God showed up. And it has really been a lovely year of learning that his character is such that he doesn't fail you. Like his love isn't like our love, where it's like, you hurt my feelings, so you kind of withdraw it, or you don't feel like giving, you don't feel like being loving, so you don't. God's love is based on his character, so it's not something we're earning, and it's not something we can lose. And I love that he tells us that throughout, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, that in Jeremiah is in the Old Testament that I've loved you with an everlasting love, and Psalm is also, but also in the New Testament, it says there's nothing that can separate you from the love of God. And it goes through this whole, not heights or depths, or like it goes through this whole thing of how there's nothing that can separate us from God. So even when we're not feeling it, God is saying that I love you, and we can trust what he's saying. Even if our feelings don't match up, we can trust the character of God and that his love is enduring and is ongoing and is free. And that really can help you navigate any kind of circumstances in any season, is when you really understand the depth of God's love for you.
Right. Yeah, it goes beyond just the holidays. I think, this is just a particularly difficult time for a lot of people. I think I sound terrible saying this, but that difficult time can be a good reminder to, focus on these things and God's the joy and peace and love that comes from God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for some strange reason, as humans, when we are discomfort and some kind of discomfort it's like I'm trying to get your attention. That's when we are like beyond ourselves and we're like, okay, we need help. I need some kind of resolution, or I need some kind of answer. And those circumstances are when we turn to God the most. It's not usually in comfort. It's not usually when life is going good that you're like, oh my gosh, God is just so great. It's like when he delivers you out of something, you think that. I mean, we see it in the Bible. We see it a lot in the Old Testament when we were like, I don't get the Israelites. Like, how could they go back to? But when God delivers them out of Egypt, they've been slaves forever. 400 years, God delivers them out of Egypt. They're in the wilderness 40 years complaining. Like, they get out of Egypt from slavery, they are so excited, and then they're complaining. And we do the same thing. It's when we get in discomfort, when life is challenging, when we're asking God to intervene in some way to help us, that we draw closer to him, and then we appreciate it. We're like so thankful, and then time goes by and we forget. We forget again, and it's only when we start entering another season of challenge that, I won't say that's not true. If we're not intentional, it's only when we start hitting challenging things that we turn to him. Right. We have to be intentional daily. I was talking to Nate when I got here because I stayed up really late last night. I didn't tell him how late. I was up to 4 a.m. reading a book. And I had to be here at 9. I was up before, and I said, I didn't walk today. And I just was bragging really about that I've walked over 100. I've been walking since June. So I've walked over 170 days. And what I realized this morning was your decisions are either bringing you closer to what you want or further from what you want. And the habit of walking can be undermined in a matter of days if you start making decisions that don't get you out there. Like if you start continually making decisions to be up to 4 o'clock in the morning, then you're sleeping in later, and then oh, I don't have timing. It's so easy. And the same thing happens in our walk with the Lord. It's intentional. It has to be a daily decision to spend time with him. I don't mean you have to like carry a Bible on your head, but you want to be talking to him. You want to invite him into your day to day. You want to put things in front of him. Like, what would you do? Or what would you have me do? You just want to be in a close relationship with him. And that is how you get the joy, peace, and love, by the way, is that walk with Christ. But if you're not careful, you'll just wander away. So you have to be intentional about it, and you have to be intentional about your time with him. I think that's where I was going with this, because it's easy to be distracted. Very easy.
Right. I think being a husband and being married to another person really puts into perspective what it did for me, what a relationship should look like, and what goes into maintaining a relationship. Rather, I think that I'm still going through it. Going through that experience, that relationship really helped me to put in perspective my relationship with Christ. And like you were saying, being intentional.
Yeah.
Being intentional to talk to each other, to spend time with each other, to check in on each other. I know that's maybe a little bit weird to check in on God, but I'd like to do that every now and then. Like, hey, God, how are you doing? But yeah, just being intentional and making that time. And it's because it's a relationship. And those are the things that go into maintaining a relationship.
Yeah. I love that, because I don't think I ever really thought about it as a relationship until recently. So I love hanging out with my best friends, and I like getting coffee drinks and like walking and talking and just supporting and encouraging and hearing what they're doing. But I never thought about that with God. Like, when that it's not an obligation. He's somebody you want to be close to, and you want to know him, and that changes the game for you when that becomes when you can make that a priority. It doesn't feel like, oh, I gotta read the Bible today. Oh, I gotta get in my prayer time because that's what Christians do. This is my Christian checklist. It's like, oh my gosh, Lord, did you see that? I cannot believe that happened. Lord, I love that it snowed in Florida in January. Like you're just open and wanting to talk to him.
Right. I feel like when I'm like, I get excited about something, or I'm like happy and I'm feeling joy, and I want to go share that with my wife.
Yeah.
I want to tell her about it. And, when I would pray in my past, it was always asking God for stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to get into a habit of, when I'm feeling thankful, when something fun is happening, bringing that to God.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, that's part of a relationship, and it's caused the relationship to flourish in a much better way, I think.
I like that you have a little new baby, because you're having a lot of new experiences, and you're getting to experience a lot of new things. And I think it'll really help shape how you understand how God sees you, because now you have that experience of having a son, and God calls you a son, and you get to share that. Like, you could talk to him about, walking, or, because we have to walk too, and how God has, held our hands as we walk through things or ushered us into something new. And that's what you're doing with your son.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, I get so excited about I get to show my son this thing that I really love. And it's like, God's probably like that.
Yeah.
He wants to show us, his love and the joy that comes from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really puts things into perspective.
I love Yeah, that's a great one. He does. So we were going through things that we can do. We talked about changing your perspective and changing your expectations. I think we've kind of hit on this already, but this time of year, there's huge expectations. I mean, you can remember from when you were a kid and you were waiting for Santa, maybe, or you were thinking about being out of school and how much fun you were going to have and who you were going to get to see over the holidays. And we bring a lot of expectations in as adults too. But one of the things I had to learn through my divorce was circumstances change, but God doesn't. So you can still have expectations, but maybe you'll have more peace if your expectations are where you're putting your hope in God and not like in things or certain traditions have to happen. Because life is kind of fluid. Change is always on the horizon. Nothing really stays the same. So when life changes, when the rug is pulled out from under you, and you cannot meet those expectations that you thought you were going to have, keep your eyes on God because he will be the same. When everything else is falling apart, God is constant. And that has really helped me throughout the last couple of years. I remember so when we separated, now the kids have to be in two places for Christmas. So how are you going to do that? Like before you had a certain tradition and now somebody's not going to be there when they wake up and go to the tree. So what I learned to do is not put my joy in that tradition. How can I keep the joy and change things? So we did FaceTime. They were with me Christmas morning. And we would FaceTime him wherever he was. He traveled a lot in the beginning. So he was being foreign, other countries and stuff. And so he was right there, FaceTiming with them. That wasn't how it used to be. And that wasn't like how I would have wanted it to be, but it's how it was. How do I make the best out of the situation we're actually in instead of holding on to how things used to be or being resentful or bitter about whatever is happening in our lives? And that really worked out for us. So they got to be on FaceTime with him. And then when he was in town, he would come and get them from lunch and they would spend the rest of the weekend with him. Not how you wanted it, but it's what it is. How can we make the best out of this? How can we change our expectations where joy isn't based on what we used to have?
Right. And I talked to you this morning about, my family. And our expectations were, centered around gifts, I guess, for Christmas. Not completely, but that was a big part. And then as we've gotten older, we're all adults now. And gift giving is not really the same as when you're a child. And so what we've been doing is, I guess, shifting our expectations from receiving and giving gifts into now we like to play games. And last year I did trivia, and I think I want to do it again this year. It's really fun. But yeah, just doing things that encourage the relationship, the time spent together with the family and things like that. And like I was talking about, like with relationships with God and stuff, having the expectation to build those relationships, I think is a lot more powerful. Yeah.
I love that when you told me earlier too. It feels like it's less stress.
Right.
And there's a different focus. It's like a experience, memories. You're focused on that relationship, those relationships, and building memories together. And that always feels good when you can do that, where you create more connection.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Number 3 was look for God. All good things are found in God. So when you're talking about like, how do you check in with God?
Yeah.
This is one of the things I think about is like, where is God moving, or where is something that God has said that he cares about that I could find myself doing, helping, supporting. So look for God. So like, God cares about the homeless. God cares about the orphan. God cares about the widow. God cares about people. So where is there a need maybe that you could show up in a situation that could be helpful? Or also just nature, getting out in nature and seeing the beauty and the intricacies of how God's created leaves and plants and flowers. Like just being in nature and seeing God.
And in community and relationship.
And in community and relationship. So when life is challenging, when life is hard and it's tough and it feels like you're not having the most wonderful time of the year, look for God. He says when you look for him, he will be found. So you don't have to search too hard because he's always present. But yeah, look for God. Look for something you could do or somebody you can help or just a way to get closer to him through what he's created.
Right. Sometimes though it's like you can go looking for God and you can find him, but sometimes it's like our eyes can't see him.
Yeah.
And I think I don't remember who said it. Someone said like God is in hindsight or whatever. We see him in retrospect.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that too. That is so good. 'Cause especially after we go through the thing, we're like, oh my gosh, look at God. Like God brought me through it. But in the thing, sometimes we're not seeing where God is in our feelings or our circumstances.
Right. So maybe that's a little bit of encouragement that, if you're seeking God and you feel like you don't see him, he's probably there.
Yeah, he's probably there. Take the focus off yourself. This cracks me up because Nate and I were talking about this morning, how you could just be so self-focused on your problems, on your issues, on your trauma. Oh, I really bathed in that for a long time. And those are legitimate things. We're not saying to ignore them.
Ignore them, yeah.
Yeah, those are legitimate. But sometimes it sends us in a spiral and it sends us in a mindset and it sends us in a space where we're stuck and we are depressed or we're anxious or we're stressed. And what we want to do is how can we shift something in the way we're thinking that takes that focus off ourselves that's not serving us in any way. And one of the things I think is find other people to serve. Where can you find yourself in service to others? That usually is such a cool way of putting you in perspective to a bigger picture instead of you being the big picture.
Right. And I think, like taking care of other people can put it in perspective of, how you take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I did not think about that, but we do sometimes tend to have more grace for other people than we do for ourselves. We usually talk to other people in a better way than we talk to ourselves about the same thing. Like if your friend came to you and said, I'm feeling kind of depressed. I'm really not sure of much of anything. You're so encouraging. But when you're having those thoughts, you can be condemning and shaming. So I do love that thought that when you're focusing on other people and the way you treat them can help you see that you could be treating yourself better.
Right, yeah.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
That's right. Yeah, no. No, I was just thinking, every time I'd hear that, love your neighbor as you love yourself, the question always popped in my head, well, what if you don't love yourself?
Oh.
Yeah.
I heard a long time ago, someone had said, of course you love yourself. You take care of yourself. You feed yourself. But I don't think that really means you love yourself. It means you survive. Your body, it survives. It wants to live. So it does those things. But the way you talk to yourself is really an indication of how you think about yourself. And so, when you have to love your neighbor as you love yourself, that is like a standard of behavior you want to start cultivating so that you can love a neighbor because you do love yourself. But I think sometimes, I don't know, we outsource love to other people that we won't receive. We won't receive it and we don't give it to ourselves. And then we have a hard time receiving it from others.
That's a hard thing for a lot of people is receiving. Yeah.
It is hard. You have to be vulnerable to receive.
Yeah.
And we don't like that.
No, we don't like that.
That's not fun. Okay. And the last thing I thought, and maybe Nate has another thought behind this one, was that sometimes we have to remember what God has already done for us. How God, like you said, in hindsight, we can see the hand of God in our lives where we might not be experiencing it or seeing it in the challenging times or in the circumstances that we're in. But in the Old Testament, God talks to the Israelites a lot about putting up memorial stones so that they can remember what he has done. I think it is easy to forget. It is easy to start. You get the thing that you've been praying for, and now you want the next thing. That's how our brain just does. It's like, oh, I got the car. Now next, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And we forget that God is faithful and he's consistent and he is good. And we see the new giant and we see the new wilderness and we're like scared and frightened. But God is like, I'm consistent. What have I done for you lately? Like, no, just remember what I've done for you. And I am consistently going to be doing that in the future.
Right. We talked about communion recently on the Eastgate podcast. And communion is a reminder of, Jesus' sacrifice, how we do that consistently every month.
Yeah.
To remind ourselves
Yes.
of what God did for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing we both realize is like everything changes. So if you're in a season now that doesn't feel good, that is hard, it's not going to last forever. Everything is in motion and that season is going to pass. It's how you're navigating it and managing yourself that makes a difference. So don't dwell on what you don't have. Start being thankful for what you do have. Find the good. In the mundane, everyday things, there's something. You woke up. That's the first one.
Yeah.
You woke up. Find people to help. There's something that happens in your brain chemistry with gratitude and helping that helps you too. You probably get more out of it than they do. And trust God with it. In your relationship, build a relationship on trust where you can trust God to be who he says he is.
Right. And be honest with God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let him know that, it sucks right now.
Yeah.
I think God wants to hear that.
Right.
He wants you to be honest with him.
Yeah.
And, that's part of the relationship.
That is part of the relationship. You trust God because he's trustworthy, and you be honest because he's trustworthy. And that is how we lay our burdens down, right? If we're not honest, then we're carrying it all. And Jesus has said,
right,
my yoke is easy. You can give him, he's died for your burdens. So honesty is definitely one of the first things you need to have.
Right. He wants to carry our burdens and take those from us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, holiday seasons, they can be tough. And I hope that, we were able to maybe share some things that might be helpful to get through this holiday season. And I love this conversation in that I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of people. One of the things we want to let people do is be honest about what they're really going through. Right.
And we didn't want to come on and put Band-Aids on challenges. Life is hard and it's very challenging, and people are going through some really tough times. So we just wanted to give you space to admit that and let that be okay. You can admit that you're having a hard time. And then just to we want to point you back to the Lord, because this is where the answers are. In your relationship with him is your answers. And there's your joy, there's your peace, and there's your love. So if you're not finding it in your circumstances, just keep your eyes on Jesus and you'll find it.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, Merry Christmas. We'll be back in the new year.
We would love for you to be a part of the conversation. If you have anything you would like to add or share, you can leave us a comment or email at egcfpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening.